welcome back to our Mental Health Power Up series where we talk about different ways to cope with your mental health and possibly help those around you. We've brought on so many amazing people, counselors, and doctors who have all given us really amazing tips on how to deal with our stress, anxiety, depression, whatever it may be. My tongue is tired, listeners. I'm tired. I'm sorry. But before we begin, let me start off with some introductions. We have, of course, you guys already know Matt and Darren.
Yes, hello.
Wow. Just tossed in there. All right, never mind. Hi, guys. Let's keep her going. No
But
big deal.
getting to the big people that we have on, the most amazing people. We have Dr. Bean joining us again, and we have Ben joining us, both from Geek Therapeutics, to come on and talk about how they kind of got started, what made them pick the fields that they picked, and how they're using Geek Therapeutics to help their clients. So first, we'll start off with Dr. Bean, and then we'll kick it off to Ben. Dr. Bean, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started with this.
So I am Dr. Bean. I am a licensed clinical psychologist in the state of Texas, and I run Geek Therapeutics. And my gosh, where to even begin? We do a lot of stuff. I honestly don't know where to begin on this one. I mean, we train, I think we're up to over 200 different clinicians at this point, have gone through our trainings. We've done over 4,000 CEU hours to people across the wide spectrum of geekdom. I think we certified about 40 certified geek therapists, about 68 therapeutic game masters. And we have published quite a lot of material for people. And we got into the cons last year as booth members. And so we've been at all the booths and running our booth, and a lot of support from the public on what we're doing of integrating geek culture into therapeutic practice. And I think that's a big deal of kind of like what my big push is for it is I'm a geek. I love it, and we love everything that we kind of do, whether it's from D&D to anime to Pokemon to God, where else can you
Jim
go?
and the Holograms?
I mean, we might as well do
Sorry,
space.
that's too outrageous.
No! Ben, that was great! I'm actually wearing the hoodie right now.
To pretty much anything that comes under the sun. I mean, we usually are booked up at least a year for trainings. We put out 2 to 3 new certificates a year. Last year was our therapeutic game master, and it is still going super strong. This year it'll be one on problematic gaming, from positive and negative effects of it, and how do we actually work with gamers who may fall into that, the very small amount of population who would actually fall into that, versus what is it to just game and be a gamer, and how do we recognize that and recognize the differences, plus a lot of what's the other one? Geek therapy mindfulness course that we're going to be doing as well, which is going to be intensely amazing. I've seen it.
I mean, honestly, I just have to shout you guys out, because most of the people that you guys are going to see on this series have been doctors and counselors and therapists who are with Geek Therapeutics, and they've been amazing. If you've been watching the series, they've been absolutely amazing. So again, Mr. Bean.
I'll take it. I mean, I'll take it. I mean, that's literally my life story you're giving me, so it's okay.
I'm so sorry.
I have very, very thick skin about it. It's okay.
Oh my God, that was complete slip up. Dr. Bean, thank you again, because you supplied so many amazing people. We've gotten to meet incredible people who are doing wonderful things in their field. And I don't know, it's like you've cultivated this family of just awesome geeks. We've loved everybody who's been on the show. It's been such an exciting experience, and I feel like we've all learned a little bit about ourselves, even though we started this so that our listeners could learn something. I think we all kind of went through kind of a little bit of therapy in each. It was like a 10 sessions for us, going through and listening to them, and being shit coming up, and oh my God, yeah, I really need to deal with that. After talking to some of them, it's been great.
When you get us therapists on board, that's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I learned that very quickly, so I'm coping with it, trying to. Anyways, so Ben, on to you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Name's Ben Mandal. I've
been running RPGs for, it's now closing on 3 decades, and
Nice.
it's been a good time. Thank you. For a while, I was running a discussion called The Art of the Table about GMing beyond the basics for tabletop RPGs at a lot of different cons, up until COVID hit, and that kind of threw a wrench in the works. But
Right.
funny thing is, there at about the same time, I was active in a Facebook discussion group on the academic research going on for the world of RPGs, both LARP and more traditional tabletop games. And my friend Sarah Lynn Bowman was posting in a discussion. She's a professor. I used to be in Texas. I believe she's now in one of the Nordic countries. But she's very keyed into the different academic and medical sides of the gaming world. Someone had put up a post talking about using RPGs as a part of therapeutic practice. So I jumped in and said, oh, that sounds great. As an experienced game master, how can I get involved and use some of my skills for that? Sarah connected me with Tony. We got to talking. And after I spent a few hours GMing for him and a few of the other therapists in the program, we started doing a lot of formulating for what eventually became the play half of the curriculum for the therapeutic GM basic certification. And since then, I've been fortunate enough to run quite a few cohorts of both therapists, social workers, and other people with a professional interest in this, but most of whom who do not have a background in playing tabletop RPGs.
Mhm.
So in this case, we already have people like Dr. Bean handling the more academic side of this, and people like myself and other experienced GMs actually doing play sessions with the people who are taking these courses, which is a little different than typical RPGs in that
Mhm.
normally when you've got a good game going, you want to keep that flow, you want to keep momentum. But in this case, because it is a class, we are teaching the skill how to run an RPG. We encourage the students to actually interrupt us and maybe stop with, hey, okay, so Ben, that scene was really weird and unexpected. How did you know the witch was going to respond that way? And what kind of prep did you do as a GM for that? And then we might
Mhm.
spend a few minutes talking about what I, as the GM, have done, and then get back into the play session.
Mhm.
So
Right.
That's
I've
incredible.
it's been really fun. It's wonderful having adult students, all of whom are very invested in learning these skills.
Mhm.
They're all very good at checking their egos at the door. So it doesn't really matter whether you have a doctorate. When you start this play session, you're just a student in the class who's here to learn with
Mhm.
everyone else. And while the majority have very minimal experience with RPGs, we've also had people who've been gaming for literal decades, but they've never done so in a professional context. And
Right.
we get to be the ones having those conversations with them about using this skill professionally. And
And
let
I
me tell
love
you, that has
that.
been one of the best parts of a very rough pandemic.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I can tell
incredible.
Darren wants to say something
I know. I'm
because his
sorry.
face has been like lit up like a little kid at a candy shop the whole time. I've been watching him. He's like, okay, so Darren, go.
As soon as someone brings up tabletop RPGs, that's what I'm like, oh my God, let me, I have to say something. But I think I really like what you said about checking your ego at the door as well, because I mean, that's a trait that I think all good GMs have to have, because you might have an idea of where you want your story to go, and it's not going to go in that direction if the players have anything to do with it. So, and my question is, as someone who was a professional GM and who's now training other people, do you think being a GM helps with that? Like, what part of running a game helps you train better as someone who's trying to guide players normally?
So I think it's important to note that teaching is itself its own skill. Teachers do not get
Mhm.
enough credit that just knowing the subject matter does not automatically make you good at conveying it to other people.
Right.
So I actually have been a professional firearms instructor decades ago in my career, and that was really where I first learned how to be a teacher. So that was very helpful, even though the subject matter is different. You still can approach a class with that same idea of not making assumptions, trying to start with very basic information, and making sure that everyone's on the same page as the class continues.
Mm-hmm.
The benefit of being a GM is that it's very much a skill that is learned by doing. There, of course, are the mechanics of a game. I can tell you, okay, well, this is how we work the numbers in a GURPS-based system. This is how you roll dice in a World of Darkness system. But then you actually have the questions of improv, as well as managing the players at your table. How do you make sure that everyone gets enough time in the spotlight, for example? Or even knowing I need to make sure that everyone gets time in the spotlight. And the more hours you've spent running games, the more likely you have encountered the various issues that crop up during play. So with myself and with many of the other GMs, we have people that have been gaming for years. We're fortunate enough to have several game designers on board who have been making these games. So they're able to bring that knowledge to the class and say, okay, one of the things you guys may want to watch out for is that super social, very friendly player. They're very invested in the game, but they forget to share the spotlight. So you don't want to discourage them because their enthusiasm is contagious, but you want to also actively make sure that other people are getting that time. And then there's also the fact that if you're coming at this from the angle of a social worker or from a professional psychologist, you'll know, okay, maybe this person has anxiety disorder. Maybe this person has trauma-induced stress. And how is that going to affect the table management needs? So these are moments where we've been able to maybe stop the game, and I'll just fade into the background because I'm not a therapist. And my students might actually just take a few minutes to talk about, okay, well, I'm a family counselor, so here's what I've seen. Oh, well, I'm more of a romantic relationships counselor. Here's what I've dealt with. And then I might pick back up in a few minutes because I'm focused on the skills of GMing, but they get to exchange knowledge about how they, as therapists, would modify the game that we're running. Whether that's a very classic hack and slash dungeon crawl or a scenario that's been custom designed to talk about things like depression, anxiety, or whatever they want to focus on with their clients.
And I think that's like...
Go ahead,
sorry,
Matt,
Destiny, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that I love the fact that you brought up that knowing a subject is not the same as teaching it. And like, I think what a lot of people don't understand is that just coming from a teaching background is there is an importance in classroom management, right? Like you have to have that. You have to be able to control your class, but also realize that people operate at different levels. So it's actually much harder than people think to be a teacher, especially working with young children as well, because they don't always know what level they're at and how they're coming at you. But I also really love the fact that you allow your therapist to have open dialogue, because I think that's really, really important. And that you take the time to fade to the background to allow them to have that. That way they are kind of problem solving themselves and figuring things out and basically facing issues that might come up with their clients. So kudos to you for that. Good job.
Yeah, seriously, it's amazing how all of these things can kind of, marry together to kind of facilitate growth and help and being there for someone, which is why like I'm very curious because this whole topic on the majority of today's show will be focused on depression. So Dr. Bean, I'm actually going to bounce back over to you, and I wanted to know, depression, as I feel, is something that is much more prevalent today, or much more, let's say, much more talked about today than I think ever before, especially in the context of gaming, in the context of where the world's at. So what I wanted to know is, when it comes to depression, what are some of the biggest obvious signs of somebody who might be struggling with depression, or that you yourself might be struggling with depression? But at the same time, what are some of the ones that people don't usually catch? Because I feel like there's a lot of the situations where people, I'm just sad all the time, I'm depressed, which is not exactly what it is. So what are some of the easy signs to kind of recognize, and what are some of the most common maybe signs that people generally tend to miss?
So the first thing is that when people think that maybe they're not depressed or something along those lines, the fact is everyone has experienced depression at some point.
Mhm.
That's just how the world works. We've all experienced it. It's all happened. It's all gonna happen again. It's not like, oh, one shot, boom, done. No,
Mhm.
that's not how it works. The way that I'm trained is very what we call psychoanalytic, and so the way that we look at depression is it's there for a reason to slow you down. It's there to create a slowed environment because maybe you need to pay attention to something. Maybe you need to look in a different direction. Maybe you're going too fast and you're about to make a mistake, and your body, your psyche is about to be like, hey man, take it down a notch. Let's just step back for a moment and do that. And then there's
Mhm.
obviously the more clinical one: sadness, low mood, things along those lines that are a little bit more very very common for people to manage outwardly in a way. Like
Mhm.
you can tend to see if someone's frowning, if someone's in a lower mood, if someone's having low energy. And then you have the very severe stuff where people just can't get out of bed. They wake up, their alarm, they just turn the alarm off, roll back over, and go back to sleep. And they wake up the next day. They slept for like 24 hours. You're like, wow, this is really big. You're not sick. You're not anything. Something's going on. And so
Mhm.
those are the really really big symptoms. But the ones that are harder to find are actually the ones that people don't necessarily go and ask for help. They just kind of disappear in into the
Right.
world in a sense. So let's say a great way of looking at this is high school. We all eat around tables, right? So your
Mhm.
Yeah.
friend group, 5 people. 5 people are writing doing around the table, and all of a sudden someone's not there that day. You're like, okay, it happens every so often. You're sick. Goes
Right.
on for a week. They're like, all right, no one's heard from them. What's going on? What's really happening? Can't get in touch with them. Those are the big signs like, hey, something's going on here.
Mhm.
When they seclude, they recluse themselves a little bit, when they don't necessarily interact. Or in social media, what we tend to see also, which is a really interesting thing, especially with teenagers, is that let's say they're texting their friends, they're responding to Twitter feeds, they're doing all sorts of stuff with memes, gifs, everything like that.
Mhm.
Um, all of a sudden, they either stop or they're just much slower. They're much like not paying attention. They're doing things that are, just seem out of the ordinary for them. Those are the
Mhm.
bigger signs to be like something's going on, whether it's depression or it's another side. And that's when we as a community we really need to step in and be like, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. Like, what's going on? What's been happening? And try to reestablish a lot of those different types of boundaries and those different types of communication. Because one of the big things that happens in depression is we try to seclude ourselves because we don't even
Mhm.
know that it's happening sometimes. It
Right.
just kind of happens and naturally, and it's where our friend group happens to come into play to really bring us back out into the open, to be there for support. Sometimes we just need a listening ear. Sometimes we need to go and do something that makes us feel good, playing video games, playing D&D, doing something along those lines. I can tell you, I've been playing D&D with my therapist group friend, which Ben knows. It's a whole group of therapists. We just play. Even the GM is that way. And when we don't play for a month, we all feel it. And because we're playing online, we all feel it
Right.
to a point where, like, yeah, we're irritable. We're pissed. Like, this is bad. And then we go in, like last week, we go and try to take on a demon lord, and then we were like, yeah, we're not gonna do that because we're level 5, and we don't wish to die today. But the kind of the aspect of it is that it's a community, and when we see someone that's suffering, a community is supposed to step up and really help out.
I think that's so fascinating, thinking about almost like the social media symptomology of it now, which in a way, like, I mean, has never existed before, given how prevalent social media is today. Just to think about, like, okay, like you said, the obvious signs are obvious, but to think about it in a way of like, this person isn't interacting online as much is something I've never really considered, and I find that really, really interesting. Just how you can also like look for, you know, digital presences now in a way to see whether they're
It's a major presence across a lot of the teenagers, and even adults.
Mhm.
So when we see someone that's tagged in a post and stuff like that, and they don't respond, and you're like, that's weird. Something's going
Right.
on there. We usually as therapists reach out to them and say, hey, what's going on? Haven't talked to you in a while. You know, we don't have to be the full out call out to be like, hey, you depressed? Hey,
Yeah.
you anxious? You don't have to do it
Right.
that way. You can be like, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. Let's chat. Let's go around. Let's go and talk or do something. What are you doing tonight? Do you want to have a cup of coffee in the morning and we'll chat over Zoom, Skype, or something like that? It's the connectiveness that really helps us feel like we matter, especially during the pandemic.
So I have a really quick question. If someone is, or if they think they're dealing with something deeper that's just sadness, or they're not sure if they're dealing with depression, and let's say they don't have the funds to seek out a therapist, because I think a lot of people want to go to therapy, but they just don't have the money to go to therapy. What kind of ways can they get help, that, I mean, that's real help? Do you know what I mean? Not like,
Absolutely. So, fun fact: most therapists have a sliding scale. If you don't have insurance, and it is usually a pretty decently sliding scale. So here in Texas, for a 60-minute session, insurance ranges anywhere from $125 all the way up to $189. Depends on which insurance you have. For us over here, we have our sliding scale at $50 to $70 a person to be with a licensed clinician. In order to get that, whether it's once a month, whether it's every other week, it's however you want. We kick that down because we want to offer those types of help. There's also a lot of things that a lot of people don't realize, that sometimes you can qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, and you can find therapeutic interaction that way. We over here at the Tilos Project, we take 48 different insurances and all the Medicaids, and so a
oh,
big
that's
bulk of
awesome.
our people are those on Medicaid. And because we serve no matter what SES you are, which is a social economic status, um, it doesn't matter. We wish to have you be a part of the life here, and to kind of get the help you need. So we don't discriminate based on insurance or anything along those lines. But most places will have either a sliding scale or even a pro bono spot. Now, if that spot is open, we don't know, but usually
Mhm.
most therapists do have a pro bono spot.
Well, that's really good to know, because I didn't even know you guys had pro bono spots. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't know that was a thing. And I feel like a lot of people go without therapy because they don't know this kind of information. So for our listeners, I hope that you're taking this into account. And if any of you are feeling any sort of type of way, research that. And we'll also put some
Mhm.
links down below to help with that. I think the one other thing I wanted to say about, like, just dealing with depression is, um, if they still were afraid to reach out, what's something that they could do for themselves? Like, do you recommend those websites like BetterHelp, or do you know what I'm saying? Like things like that.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Hear it in my
Yeah.
voice. Hear it in my voice.
Yes.
That's all I can say. Hear it in my voice. BetterHelp, and them are a giant conglomerate. The owners are not licensed psychologists or therapists.
Mm,
They're business people,
Okay.
and so they run it like a business. Um, and they make it seem like it's very open, but we've had some therapists come through our program, and they say that they've either sought out help through that, or they were a therapist there, and it's not a conducive environment for
mm,
one of the therapists. Which, here's a fun fact: if a therapist isn't happy, they're not going to be the best possible that they can be when working with
right.
clients. And that's
Right.
not the client's fault. That's the environment that they're in. And
Mhm.
so that also is one of the reasons why with Geek Therapeutics, we're actually this year going to be jumping into across state lines to provide therapeutic services and take insurance. So
That's
any one of the
awesome.
certified people will be able to work with us in providing services with insurance, and we're going to do our best not to leave kind of anybody behind.
That's
I love
really
that.
awesome.
So Ben, something that I wanted to ask you is, especially when you're so integral into the training of the the practitioners when they're when they're going to be using something like this in their therapy.
Hmm.
Does the way that you teach change depending on the group that you're with? Like, do you have like groups that are maybe more specifically who will be focusing more on depression or anxiety? Does the way that you teach differ depending on who you're teaching it to, or are you like more aware of what the subject matter can be like? Like, how does that kind of fit in when you're trying to focus on something like depression in that space?
So our cohorts at this time are based more on when someone signs up and when they're free to take the class. So we
Right.
haven't yet tried offering, say, this is a trauma focused cohort. This is a cohort for youth therapists.
Mhm.
It's just a cross section, whoever was free at that time to enter the new cohort.
Mhm.
So instead, what I tend to modify is based on their experience with RPGs. As you are going
Okay.
to teach someone who's been playing a game, even for just a year, very differently than someone who says, I started gaming 2 weeks ago. This is so cool. What on earth do you do?
Mhm.
Right.
There are people that do that.
And for them, a lot of it is just giving them encouragement to screw up as a new GM and
Mhm.
to let them know that, similar to when they were going through training to become a therapist, no one expects them to give perfect psychoanalysis the first session they have with a client ever,
Right.
nor are they going to do it with no oversight. And the same can be applied to GMing. Yes, you will still have that feeling of, I don't want to let down my group,
Mhm.
but don't give yourself the expectation, I need to run an absolute top quality RPG from the ground running.
Mhm.
No, your first few sessions are going to be rough, and that's okay. And if we're able to give them time, for example, to even GM a 20 or 30-minute scene for the other people in their cohort, that gives a lot of them not only the taste of, okay, this is what it's like to GM,
Mhm.
but lets them process that, oh, I know all this. It's still really hard, and now I'm anxious on the spot, but
Right.
afterwards I can talk about it with my fellow students who are giving me feedback as my fellow professionals, not just as players saying, man, Tony, the game you ran last night was lame.
Right.
Mm,
That happens
right.
sometimes. Sometimes you don't do anything in 2 hours. Sometimes you go and convince a blood demon lord, and you manage to sneak through them, and you piss off the DM because he's rolling really crappy that night, and we make it through.
Yeah, and I think
Goals.
that's interesting because I assume that once I Geek Therapies will continue to blow up. Is that something that you'd be interested in doing? Would you have more stylized types of training sessions based on, again, like styling a certain campaign based around trauma or depression, where you know that this might be used in that kind of way?
So
The
one of the
answer
things,
from our side, and I'm sorry, I don't know if you were talking to Ben or me. I'm going to jump in real quick, and then I'm going to let Ben go because Ben has wonderful ideas, and he is an integral part of Geek Therapeutics and on many levels. Um,
Mhm.
One of the things that we are aiming to do, it looks like it's about to be sidetracked by looks of our Discord today in conventions, but to actually create modules for people to utilize in a depression. I'm going to use depression quest, anxiety,
Mhm.
symptomology, or something like that. But they're not going to know what they're doing until at their end. So it's not going to be like, and now you have to do your deep breathing exercise. It's gonna be like, yeah, no, this
Right.
wizard's talking to
Right.
you and talking smack to you over here at this in this cavern. You got to go stop him. He's really affecting this town and morale over here. Everyone is just like
Right.
super down because they hear these voices all the time telling them that they're not worthy and that type of thing. You can fit a lot of these different types of things, mechanics into these narratives without the person knowing what you're doing, and that's honestly the beauty of therapy.
One of the
Ben,
things
Kind of
that
yeah.
we've
roleplay.
one of the things we've had a lot of success with is just having more discourse between the GMs and game designers and the professional therapists. Because, I know how to run a game that's fun. That's not the same thing
Right.
as running a game that's healing. And
Right.
someone like John Wick or Jess Hartley or Eloy Lasanta, they know how to make great games, but again, they're focusing on providing what a gamer will find enjoying. So one of the
Right.
things we've talked about with a lot of the clinicians is what will make your job easier. Now, some of that is the same thing that will make any game master's life easier. Having good notes, having some NPCs ready, having sidebars of what to do if the players blah, blah, blah. But the other thing we've started talking about is providing not just content-based therapeutic modules, like with what Dr. Bean was saying just now of, okay, we're having a session where the town's hearing voices, it's affecting their morale. That's very thematically touching on depression. It could also be creating an adventure that has zero in-game relation to what the therapist is trying to treat, but is instead going to try to put the players in a position where they'll get to take actions that reinforce whatever the therapist is trying to convey. Maybe that's an adventure where, for some reason, the players have to act as diplomats, and in-game, they're going to need to speak to powerful and influential figures, and that could give the person actually sitting at the table a chance to practice talking to an intimidating personality within the safety of the gaming group.
Right. That's cool. That's
As
really cool.
As the GM, it also lets you see, okay, maybe you guys are my players tonight, and I notice that Darren is always the quiet one, so I'm the GM. I control this half of the world. I've just decided that the Queen thinks Darren is the most handsome among you and is tossing all of her questions right at you. I don't care that Tony is actually the face of this group and is trying to answer all smooth like, no, Darren, the Queen is talking to you. How are you going to respond? So I can make sure that he, as the player, is maybe gently pushed into this situation. But we'd also be able to say, for the therapists, they would have that better understanding than someone who is just a game master for fun, of that fine line between giving Darren a gentle shove and, okay, no, I can see that he's showing signs of stress. Let's not put him that much into the spotlight.
So one last thing I want to, because we're nearing the end of this conversation, I would like to ask one last question before we move on to our final segment, because this is giving me a brain blast.
Go, Darren. Ask the question. Go.
Hearing about using tabletop RPGs to work through all of these different feelings and also just video games in general. I'll throw it to Dr. Bean first, and then Ben, I'll also give you an opportunity to talk about it. But what do you think is the power of media or tabletop games or video games in general that specifically might help someone with depression?
It's the narrative, it's the community, and it's the ability to feel like you resonate with the storyline. We've all read really crappy books, right? Like things you're just like, man, why did I waste all that time on that thing? It doesn't get us, and you're like, I got nothing out of this book. But we've read those really amazing stories. Like I'm a huge fan of the Shannara series, and in the original trilogy of the White Gold Wielder, not the new stuff. Donaldson needs to do better.
He needs to take a seat.
He needs to do better. When you create a character that does all the wrong things and even says in the book, I'm Noah, this is the wrong thing to do, but I'm going to do it anyways. You need to stop. You need to stop.
Come on, man.
Yeah, exactly. Figure out a different plot line. But it's the narrative that really drives us into the ability to feel like we resonate with the character, resonate with the storyline, because it helps us out in a lot of different ways. When I work with gamers, it doesn't matter what video game you play, there's always an orphan archetype somewhere in there, whether they have been orphaned, they lose someone, they grew up as a thug and they had to do something else. I mean, it doesn't matter. There's always something there to be pulled from, and that activates us on the inside. We all feel, it doesn't matter how nice of a childhood you've had, we've all felt orphaned, whether it's from bullying, whether it's from not feeling like our parents got us in some way, aka geeks. Hey guys. The ability to be able to resonate with that storyline, that fictional character, to be able to play it differently, to be able to have some fun with it, and also have a party and a community is massively key to overcoming it, but also providing a jumping board for resilience and grit, which is what we're really trying to instill in a lot of people.
Thanks. And then
That was a good answer.
That was
Amazing.
great. Ben, same question.
Okay.
So, not every gaming session is going to be amazing, not every storyline is going to work, and not every gaming group will even be functional. But for the majority of players and the majority of sessions, even when you have a night where it's not particularly memorable, you're still spending time with friends, whether it's virtually or in person, in a comfortable environment, creating memories together. So even when you have a game that has no therapeutic value, no one is looking at it as therapy, you're still getting the benefit of socialization in an environment where the rules of the game have provided guide rails, shall we say. So that if I'm feeling depressed or I'm feeling anxious, okay, I don't need to carry the entire conversation myself. This isn't like we've sat down for dinner at a restaurant and everyone's staring at each other waiting for someone to talk. No, I know that the game master is going to be setting the scene. I have certain expectations. Okay, I'm playing the healer. Well, I need to heal my party with magic spells or with a med kit, whatever the setting calls for. So if I'm in a really bad funk and doing anything is hard, I just know that I can hang out with my friends, eat some snacks, and even if I am only somewhat engaged in the game, I have the ability to spend time with people with the game, shall we say, covering for the lack of energy or finesse that I might normally have. So it really helps ease the social friction caused by depression.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That also was where he started off with, where not every session's going to be like, every gameplay is going to be like memorable. That works the same way in therapy. Like, not every session's supposed to be an aha moment. Like, so many people come in and see us and they're like, wow, I felt like the first 3 sessions were really, really good. And then we just kind of like didn't have that anymore. And it's like, you can't get a whammy each time, man. Like, that's not how it works. You need to process. You need to work at this type of stuff. It's the same thing with gaming. You're not going to have like, holy crap, this was amazing.
Well, I think a lot of people go into therapy looking for answers instead of just realizing that they're going to have to work through things. And it's not just you go in, tell them what's wrong, and then they prescribe something for you or tell you how to fix it. Like, that's not really what therapy is. It's a process. And sometimes you have good days and bad days. It kind of mimics life, right? Yeah. So that makes perfect sense. That was, thank you. Thank you both for your answers.
Genuinely.
Those were
you
incredible.
So
yeah.
And that very nicely brings us back to our final topic. And this time we'll start with Ben and we'll go on to Dr. Bean. What is a piece of media, a video game, a movie, a book, a television show, something that helped you personally through a tough time in your life?
So I'm going to be selfish and give you 3 answers, but I'll keep them all short.
Totally.
High school was the anime Neon Genesis Evangelion. It's got some problems. It's a little crazy, but for awkward high school age Ben, I could relate to that character, Shinji, being antisocial, being depressed, and being terrible at actually establishing healthy relationships. Evangelion really hit home. College-age Ben was a book called Callahan's Crosstime Saloon by the author Spider Robinson. Simply by having casual conversations of very human adult characters who admitted that there are problems in life. We don't have easy answers. Sometimes the best you get are supportive friends. And that meant a lot to me. And
Hmm.
for adult Ben, there have been some times where the game Magic the Gathering was my support.
Nice.
Because it is a game I've been playing for a very long time, it is a game I understand, and it is a game I can return to. If I haven't played in 10 years, that's fine. I can pick it back up, learn what the current metagame is like, and it has a wonderful, comforting familiarity that has been very helpful for me at some times in my life when it was difficult to handle things.
I'm glad you had those.
I love that you brought it up, Magic up in the way that, like, even if you don't touch it for 10 years, it can still be this place of comfort for you to return to. Because I feel like there are so few of those kind of safe spaces that you kind of make along the way. Just because, life happens, something could get in there or some way, shape, or form. But I love that there are those spaces that you can just kind of come back to even after so long. And it still feels special and nostalgic and a place of comfort. So I'm glad that you have that. That's fantastic.
What
Dr.
about you, Tony?
Bean.
Well, I think last time I said Zelda, so that obviously is still
Yeah.
still the big thing. That's a big one. But I'm also, because you did 3, I'm gonna match you. So and I'm gonna go the same way too. So high school was anime Toonami, specifically Trigun and Cowboy Bebop.
Yes.
Great animes, fantastic.
Yes, so good.
It was the best thing, staying up till 2 a.m, going to algebra early. It was just like super tired, but still acing the class because algebra is easy once you get the hang of it. College was a Dance Dance Revolution club that I ran. We ended up with like 250 participants at one time. It was nuts and chaos.
That's
and
awesome.
The best time of our college career. And the rest of life has really honestly been video games in general, but the Discord server and Geek Therapeutics of what we've accomplished, what we've done, and to see these people grow and share their knowledge is not just heartwarming, but amazing to show that we all are experts in our own way. And if we are just willing to listen to the other, we can learn so much.
Aww, that was so sweet. Yeah. Like, guys, I just feel like that was a warm hug at the end of that. That was really nice. Look, we're at the end of this episode, but of course you guys are always welcome back, because anybody who comes on our show is part of the Burnout Butter family.
Mm-hmm.
And we
I
just
like
want
butter.
You to know you're...
Let's do.
I love butter. I feel, Burnout Butter.
I'm really feeling
butter.
like you just made your guys' next shirt. Hey, instead of Burnout Better, it's Burnout Butter.
We could totally do a cooking show called Burnout Butter.
We could do
That's
that.
an idea. There's content.
But like I was saying before I like completely fucked that up, anybody that we have on the show is part of our family. And like, you've been on the show twice now, Ben, and not Ben, but Dr. Bean. I was about to say Mr. Bean. God, I do not know why I'm fucking this up so much, but we're going to keep it going. It's all going to be in there. You've been on the show twice now, Dr. Bean. Ben, you've been on once, but just to let you know, we are so grateful for you taking the time to come on and talk to us and share your stories, because I think that a lot of our listeners are part of the geek culture and love to game and love to play D&D, and to know that there are professionals out there who feel the same way they do and that they have a safe place to go and talk is one of the reasons why we did this series. So thank you again for spending time with us. Please come back and talk with us again. And guys, I think that's it. That's Burnout Brighter. Whoa. I lied. Shut up, Matt. Shut your
I'm
mouth.
Shut up. I'm going to shut up. I'm shutting up.
Okay. I almost forgot. Can you give us your socials if people want to find out more about where to find you? And this is the point, Ben. This is the point where you can drop the information about the Kickstarter. Okay?
Yes.
This is it. This is the point.
So for those of
Whoever
you
wants to go first.
Here, I'm happy to jump in. For those of you who
Whoever
might know a little anime you may have heard of called Pokemon, on the website Kickstarter, we are actually currently putting on a campaign called The Psychology of Pokemon, The Power to Catch 'Em All, where we are crowdfunding our next book, focusing on a serious analysis of what lessons can be taken from the show and the game Pokemon, and how that can apply to someone's mental health to someone's resilience, both from a professional therapeutic angle and just for any reader who's interested in psychology and tiny monsters that are forced to battle each other almost to the death for the amusement of their trainers.
Sorry, I had to
I love it.
Ben, do you have any socials that you want to share personally where people could follow up with you?
Unfortunately, this is where I'm showing my age. I am a boring old man who really needs to improve his web presence.
Okay, well, by the next time we have you on the show, I'm expecting a Twitter and an Instagram,
A TikTok,
and a TikTok, all the things. A Vine.
Wow, you just showed your age, man.
Yeah.
I'm cool.
Hey, man, let's go back to MySpace. What audio you got on your MySpace page?
You know, I've actually just been spinning a lot of My Chemical Romance lately. Just really getting the vibes, the MySpace vibes. I just got a new theme. What about you?
I introduced my son to My Chemical Romance this past weekend. Welcome to the Black Parade.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
Oh
he
my
loved
God.
it. He's like, "Can we listen to that again?" I'm
Who
like,
doesn't
"Yeah, we
love
can."
My Chemical Romance?
Would you say that he was a young boy that you took to a parade?
It was, and I asked him.
Okay, no more. Stop. You're all in my top 5. Moving on. Can you tell us? Did you get? Thank you, Matt.
I got that. That was nice.
Dr. Bean, where can people find out more about you and Geek Therapeutics?
They can find us on any social media. If you just type in Geek Therapeutics, it will pop us up. We're on Twitter, Instagram. We're going to be starting a TikTok soon, which is going to be hella hilarious because we have things planned for that. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We do everything on there, geektherapeutics.com. I'm on social media personally as Video Game Doc. So if you find me or if you see me probably killing you in online social games, because that's what I do, it's Dogballs25. So you can go by Dogballs25.
He is definitely like putting it out there. Like, come
He
on.
is 100% Dogballs25. I feel like this is half a joke, and it might a little bit. There might be a kernel of truth in there.
I'm just saying, it is the best when you're playing Halo online with a bunch of people, and they're like, "Dog balls? Who the hell is dog balls? And why did I just get killed?" And you're like, "Yeah, that's me, man."
It wasn't even the top 24 dog balls. It was the 25th one.
You just like people saying dog balls and forcing them to say that. I see.
It was.
I got
it's
you.
Glorious. It's glorious.
I got you. That's great. So for everybody listening at home, we will have all of their links down at the bottom, except for Ben. We'll have his next time he's on the show because he's going to update.
And we'll have the link to the
I hear that Tinder's popular. I guess I could make a Geek Therapeutics
You can
Tinder
always
account.
do it.
Oh,
You
God,
could
please
do
go.
that. You could do that.
Swipe right on therapy.
Oh my
Hell
God,
yeah.
let's not even talk about Tinder. Moving on. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you. It's such a terrible platform. Anyways, thank you guys so much for coming on. And thanks to my wonderful co-host for being here and like geeking out over
You're
some
welcome.
D&D.
You're welcome.
Guys, we're going to say bye now, but we'll miss you. And we'll
Thanks
see
for
you
having us on.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you
you.
so much for coming.
All
It was
right.
a pleasure.
Bye.
Later.
See you later.
Deuces.
Everyone, we hope you have been enjoying Mental Health Power Up as much as we have. These conversations are incredibly important, and we very much appreciate your time. But these conversations aren't the only thing that we're doing, Destiny. What is the second part to this?
Guys, the second part is pretty baller. So we are going to be asking you guys to donate money and share the information about the podcast, but specifically about Guardians Mental Health. They're this great organization that uses geek culture, the things that we absolutely love, comics, gaming, video games, to kind of help people who are struggling mentally and in a therapeutic way. And they put together these kits that they send out, and you don't have to pay for these kits. This is one of the most amazing things about what this organization is doing. They're sending out these kits, but obviously it takes money to print the materials, to get everything put together. And that's why we're raising money for them, because we want to help them so that they can help more of you guys. And Matt has got some amazing details about what you can win if we reach certain tiers.
That's right. You just need to donate to be entered. There is no amount that is too small or too large. Whatever you're able to do, $10 is what it costs to make these kits. So if you can do that, fantastic. If you could do absolutely anything, we would appreciate it. As we hit different stretch goals, we are going to be giving out different amazing gifts that we have for some amazing people that we're working with. So please hop over to that link, take a look. If you can donate, please do so. And you might just win something cool for yourself as well. Because again, every little bit can make a difference in someone's life. So we thank you for taking the time to do so. If you can, if you can't, Destiny, if somebody can't donate, what else can they do to help?
They can just share the information. Share it to your social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you have like a place that you like to interact with people online, share that information. And one of the things that I wanted to say, and I know Matt and Darren feel the same way, is we just want to thank you guys, because for each one of you that shares or donates, I'm just going to say it prematurely. Thank you so much. This is so important to us, and it's important to our listeners. And it's one of the main reasons why we even started the podcast. Like, not only was it about gaming, but mental health has definitely been a strong core that we've always wanted to talk about. So this is our first time doing it. We're super excited. We hope you're excited. And yeah, donate, share the information, win some prizes. But most of all, just do it from the bottom of your heart. You know what I mean? Like, the prizes are just kind of like icing on top of the cake.
Exactly. So please be there for one another. Help us reach other people who might need to hear some of this, because we know how much it's helped us. So thank you. Like Destiny said, we'll see you on the next one, everybody. All the links will be in the show notes below. Check it out. Bye.